What's going on YouTube? Flame Rails here. Today, in this video, we're going to be covering TurfFX and Clutter Layers. I posted a poll, and I asked you guys, what did you want to see next from an upload from this channel? And at first, most of you guys voted Trainz tutorial, but then Trainz rail fanning came back and took the win. I didn't give you guys a deadline for the votes, so that was my bad, but it's okay. We'll get both this time. We're going to be in TRS19, of course, and let's get right into it then. So, I'm sure you guys know of the topology layer is where you got to go for the TurfFX. Go to Advanced, go to Edit and Add Effect Layers. This video might be lengthy, it might not be, but I'm going to try to cover as much as I can in a timely manner. So you've got your TurfFX layer. You press this add button here. You select whether you want it to be TurfFX or Clutter. We're going to start with TurfFX. I'm going to name this tutorial grass, so just TG. And I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to go back, add another effect layer, and this one's going to be Clutter, so I'm going to be TC. Okay. I'm going to start with TurfFX first. Now, one thing you always have to remember with TurfFX, it is grid based, just like Trainz textures are. All the textures are laid in a kind of a grid, manner. TurfFX is laid the exact same way. For example, if I turn the density slider down here, if I turn it all the way up, the grass will become dense. If I turn it down, less dense it will be. For you guys to see what I'm talking about, I'll have it up to max density. It's grid based. Now the select tool here, select area tool here, will show you what I'm talking about. Select your area, and then once you've selected your area, fill area. Now this is clutter. Whoops. Grass. Okay, now there we go. Now you've got your grass everywhere. And I'm going to switch to a different type of grass so it'll be a little bit more visible. And these are your, while I have you here, these are your different types of grasses that N3B has provided for us built in the TRS19. There are 10 different grasses to choose from. For this one, we're going to use TurfFX Grass 4 Seasonal. That's better. Now, as I mentioned, you got everything laid in a kind of a grid formation. Now, although you did use the select area tool, TurfFX is grid based. But I'm going to show you guys something that a lot of you guys are probably going to run into. Although I selected the area where I wanted the TurfFX grass to be, the TurfFX layer will run outside of this box. Maybe it'll get patched in the future, maybe not. No one knows yet, but I would be careful, just laying your TurfFX grass around its specific areas, because this will happen. There's really no way to adjust this as far as precision goes. The only thing would kind of be to adjust the density settings or the geometry settings a little bit, but we'll get into that later. And unless you can get kind of an understanding of it, to the point where you can comfortably do it, I would recommend leaving those settings alone. But let me show you what I mean as far as being careful with it. Let's say you lay a road or a track down or something. Switch layers. I always forget that. What could happen is, if you're not careful and you lay down some grass, and let's say you don't give your grass a gap between the road and the grass, and boom, you've got a mess here. So you can't have the grass or anything like that too close to roads or tracks, planes, or really any buildings or anything like that where it's concrete and stuff. So I would just be a little bit careful with that. And if you do, just undo it and just try again. Now To lay this down, you need to give your road or something at least a grid meter gap. Excuse me. And lay the effect layer down. Now, you can see it's still kind of touching the road just a little bit, but it's not major. That's acceptable. As you see, although the grid square is all the way over there, it's spread outside the box about another grid meter before it cut off completely. So, always keep that in mind when you're laying down TurfFX into your roads or buildings and tracks, especially tracks. With tracks, the same thing applies. 1 grid meter space, 1 grid meter gap between the grass and whatever structure is there. Okay. Now, derelict buildings are an exception here. Anything abandoned is an exception. Those will be perfectly fine. I mean, it kind of goes with it if you think about it. So anything like that would be okay. Okay. Put as much grass in it as you like. It's abandoned, so why not? Now, as I mentioned, there are different types of grass to choose from. Now, since I'm on the tutorial grass layer, let me just show you guys what I mean. TurfFX asset, you can choose through whatever type of grass you want to use. Now, they all come with different, settings. Geometry scale, blade width noise, blade height noise, and all this other stuff. They all come with their own settings for whatever purposes. So, but these are adjustable. Now, the biggest one is that a lot of you guys could use is the geometry scale. Now, never ever take this out of decimal form. You never need a whole number. It's too sensitive. Allow me to show you what I mean. Let's change this to 0.75. Just to check. Yes. The geometry scale is really your best friend, okay? You can make it taller. You don't have to change the blade width, but that's really your best friend. That pretty much controls the height, width, and the density and stuff stays the same, but that's your biggest friend, as far as controlling that primary thing with the grass. Now, although I did that, you can see it's kind of it can get a little bit more out of control, but like I said, just be selective as to where you lay these grasses. Now, as far as mixing your layers of grasses, you have to have separate layers. Okay. Now I'll do that now. I'll make another layer. We'll call it TurfFX Grass 2. We're gonna change this to, let's see. Okay, that can stay. That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna change that to 0.75 as well, so you guys can see what I mean. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some grass. Kind of mix it in there. And let's see, there we go. As you can see, the default grass. Let me show you the new grass that was selected was this. And as you can see, it kind of got mixed up in there. That's how you can mix your TurfFX grasses. Kind of get a beautiful little look. And personally, I like that. I like that a lot. That's how you can mix your grasses. But unless you're doing wild grass, you never need grass this high. So go back to your geometry scale setting, turn it down. Most of you guys could probably need about maybe 0.25. 0.25 should do a lot of you guys fine. By default, it's set to 0.15. 0.25 or if that's too high still, then you can try 0.19. But like I said, always keep it in decimal format. You never need all that TurfFX. Now, blade height noise can also help here as well. You can change that. That controls the blade height. the strands of grass. That controls the height. You can use that in conjunction with the geometry tool to kind of help you control your grass a little bit more. But it's all at your sole discretion. And I just realized something. Wrong grass. So this is what I'm talking about. So let me show you again. The geometry scale 0.19. Like I said, this is probably what most of you guys would use. Let me go back to 0.25 so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. And I'll also change back the blade height noise. Come on. Okay. Any setting that you change, if you want to confirm it and get it changed, just press the check at the bottom. Now, that's just the biggest. Those are your biggest two settings that a lot of you guys are gonna use when you play TurfFX. Now, blade width and blade width noise are kind of blade width. You definitely, if you want to make it realistic, if you're using grass, I would leave it low because as you can see, 0.1 looks just fine and dandy, right? Well, I'm telling you, 0.01 correction. Because anything higher than that, it's not good. Anything higher than 0. It kind of looks, you can kind of see the blade a little bit too much. But like I said, it just depends on the type of grass you have and wherever you are. But I would highly recommend you kind of leave that setting alone. But it's always there. So in case you do want to change it, blade width noise. Let's go to 0.9. Yes, as you can see, the higher up you turn it, the thicker the blades get, and it starts looking a little nasty and stuff, and that just don't look good. So, let's see, blade width, there it is. Yeah, just leave it at 0.1. Let me go back to the main TurfFX grass layer. Just leave it at 0.1, and you should be fine. Now, blade width noise, that kind of controls the angle at which the grass, I'm pretty sure it controls how tilted over it is, its angle, I guess. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay. So it pretty much controls the angle of your grass. As far as how that works, I just don't know. But, yes. Always keep everything in here in decimal format. You never need a whole number. Okay, now the constant value, now I haven't really gotten this down. I haven't experimented with that yet, so I would leave that alone. The TurfFX density settings, I would only change, if necessary, I would only change the meter settings and never go below 5 meters. Because then you'll get all these errors and crashes and codes, and things will just be everywhere. Okay, now I'm going to turn it up to 40 meters so you guys can see what it does as far as density goes. Now let's go back to 10. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Now once you do that, it's going to delete the grass. It will delete the grass. Wait a minute. Okay. But the only thing, you do have to be in a specific set place on the grid. As I mentioned, it is grid based. Okay, so let's go back to 10, our good old default settings. 10 meter grid. And I'll also, let's go back to 0.25 for the geometry scale for this grass here. 0.25 should be fine. Yeah. So that's pretty much TurfFX, really. Once you get a hang of keeping that, like I said, you can mix the grasses. Just you got to do it on multiple layers. So make sure you just add each layer of grass and make sure you don't change the wrong layer of grass. Keep 1 meter grid gap between the track, roads, or buildings and stuff. So that way this here doesn't happen. Okay. And like I said, you got different selections of grasses, so just select your textures and you should be fine. Now, let's go on to the clutter layer. We want to switch to Trainz clutter. Now, this layer is a little bit easier because you can do this all on one layer. You can have multiple layers of clutter like you can with the TurfFX grass, but with one layer, just one layer of clutter, you can have different types of assets as clutter. Okay. Now, draw clutter density. It kind of is the same as TurfFX. I wouldn't mess with it unless you absolutely have to. Only thing I'll change is the meter, but don't change it too much. Just remember you have to relay it if you change the density and stuff. Spacing. I'm pretty sure this is in meters since it is the metric system. I think 1 meter gap between each asset mesh render. So, like I said, I wouldn't mess with that either unless you absolutely have to. Random rotation, we'll turn that on true. Draw distance. This just controls how far away you can get as far as seeing your clutter. Now, I would definitely leave it as default or turn it lower if you have to, unless you've got a strong computer and you can do what you want. But I would leave it as default. Now, you get this red box when you press the add asset. Now, just like the TurfFX grass, there's a bunch of different selections of clutter for you to use. And like I said, you can do this all on one clutter layer, so you can add as much clutter as you like. Select from whatever you want. It's all at your disposal. And these sliders here control the density of each effect. So, max it out. I'm going to max it out, and then I'm going to just lay it down. Okay, now as you can see, like I said, this is where the draw distance come in. Further away you get, it'll disappear. Closer you get, boom, it's there. Now, just for the tutorial purposes, I'm going to turn it up to maybe, let's see, 2, is it? Okay. You can have it up to a maximum of 1,000 meters. So you can go a little bit ways and be fine. Now you can see the flowers and flowers, grass, and these banana things or whatever they are. I don't know. Leaf plant. Now, if you don't like it, you can always just change it to whatever, change it, and it'll change as soon as you press the green check. It'll still be there, but it'll change. This is your clutter layer. You can have as many of these as you want on, as I said again, many as you want on one layer, so you never have to worry about it. But I would only apply this in areas, that are kind of suitable for it, And yes, you can lay this over top of TurfFX and, it'll kind of blend in fine. The clutter density, you can turn it down to kind of readjust it or whatever you like. So now you've got TurfFX and clutter in the same area. The clutter layer is like, it's a little bit easier, to kind of work with it and get, what you're looking for. Now there's a lot of selections as far as assets you can have with clutter, so I would kind of look through there and kind of just experiment and find what you like the best, and hopefully they have what you would want. I guess I can say. But they have plenty of stuff for you guys, so I wouldn't worry about them not having a lot, not having something. They got rocks, they got plants, they got tiny little trees. So there's something for everything. Okay. And then you look. Now, if I wanted to add some scenery, let me just add a piece of scenery so you guys can see. what I mean, and this already looks just beautiful. Okay, as long as you got a hang of these environmental, settings here, you're gonna have a fun time with TurfFX and 19, and as well as the clutter. That just looks beautiful. Now, not saying that the older assets in game aren't relevant, because they're still relevant, even though they're just dated a little bit. The older assets are still relevant. You can still use them. They still kind of add an effect, because sometimes TRS19 don't have, some things that will look beautiful, but that's okay. TurfFX and clutter layers mixed with old assets of scenery. Yes, you can make something, very very beautiful. Derelict baggage car, and it's all at your disposal. Whatever you like to do, you can make a drastic difference. Let's see. Let me see this. Power lines. Let me adjust the environment. Like, you can make a beautiful scene with this type of stuff. It's just like I said, as long as you've got a grasp on it and you can experiment. You're gonna have to experiment with it a little bit, but then, like I said, we just went over the basics. It doesn't take much to get it to work, but like I said, just kind of do what I did in the video. You should be fine. You can make something beautiful from just a baseball with basic textures. I would recommend, if you kind of end up using TurfFX, use PBR textures, and just solely so it can enhance the experience just a little bit, and also have your shader set to ultra. Although I don't, having them set to ultra will kind of drastically improve things a lot. But yeah, that's all there is to it, guys. Look at this. We made a beautiful scene out of nothing, and we can really just keep adding to it, and add to it, and add to it, as much as we like. I'm going to make a little, and don't sleep on built-in trees. Built-in trees, they kind of work. I know built-in trees aren't everyone's favorite, but they are pretty good, and they do make somewhat of a difference. Somewhat of a difference, okay. Now let's just add a TRS19 standard locomotive. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh my gosh. There we go. And now you've got an amazing scene just right here. Probably gonna drool over this later, but that's all there is to it, guys. If there's anything I missed that you guys think I should go over or something, just let me know in the comment section down below. I will try and see if I can go over it or explain it a little better. Or if you have a question in the comments that in the comment section that you like me to answer, just leave it down there, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. But that's really all there is as far as TurfFX. Just the basics, just so you can kind of get what you want and make your route look magically, great. Okay. Let's see. It won't be done. Let's see. TurfFX. Let me just add some. Oh wait, that's too bad. Maybe one tree too many. And it looks like the rest of this is going to be just detail. But I guess I can show you guys what you can accomplish. So working together with all these assets and these beautiful things that we have here. Sorry, I had to capture that screenshot, but yeah, that's it. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If I missed something or wants me to cover something, leave it down below. I love you guys. Stay awesome, stay rail fanning. Flame Rails out.